Okay, I'm going to stay with this picture here this time, and we're going to look at removing dust and scratches using this picture here. It's a different one than we used in the workshop, but it'll work very good. If you look at this picture, I'll zoom in on it, and we'll see what's wrong with it. If I look, for example, on the dresses here, there's dust spots. There's some sort of junk on that thing. Now, some of these I'll remove with either the healing brush or the patch tool. These things over here. But these little dust spots over here, I could use the same thing and go around and spend all day doing that. Uh, but there's just a lot of these little dust spots. So and this picture is going to be good for getting rid of a lot of that. Uh, you can see some of this stuff down here. Obviously, the bigger pieces would get rid of some other way. So how do we get rid of that all in one fell swoop without having to go through the entire picture? Well, I'll start off by having the picture zoomed in a little bit here. Uh, I'm going to convert this layer here to a smart object so that I can mask in the effect. The thing with the dust and speck removal tool is that it tends to soften the image, and there's certain things I don't want to have softened. Particularly the face, the eyes, and things like that. So I just want the dust removed where I want it removed, and I want to be able to select that. So let's go to convert to smart filter. In the class, this took a while. Hopefully, it won't take as long now. What I'm doing is going to create a smart object out of the background, which is going to allow me um, to mask in the effects of this filter. And it also allows me, once it's done, to go back and redo the filter itself if it was too much or too little. There's some good advantages to doing it this way. Okay, now it's been converted to the smart filter. You can see there's a little icon in the bottom right corner. So now if I go to a filter and I want to go to noise, dust and scratches, and the dust and scratches filter comes up, and you can see without doing anything else, it's gotten rid of some of these specks. But because of the settings down here, you can see it's softened the picture quite a bit. That's probably too much. Now, two things to think about: radius is the number of pixels that you want it to look at as nut dust. If I reduce the radius to 0, those dust spots all come back. Threshold is the amount of contrast or the difference that you want it to consider dust. So I'll keep the threshold up a little bit, and I'll raise the radius up a little bit more to see if I can start seeing some of these things disappear. Now the threshold means there's just almost no difference. You see the dust spots are starting to go here. Um, there's almost no contrast difference. If I raise the threshold up a lot, it won't be as sensitive. It's telling the system you need a big difference to make a difference. So I'm going to give threshold, I'll give it 13 here. I'll do radius a little bit bigger. See if I can. This dust spot almost went away. A little bit bigger here. A little bit more. Okay. Now at this point, it's gotten rid of a lot of dust spots. Um, as you can see, if I do the preview on and off, they come back through here. You see the dust spots, and if I put the preview on, a lot of those dust spots have gone away. So with this one tool, I was able to do a pretty decent job of removing dust spots. The thing that you have to watch out, though, is a lot of times uh, it'll affect detail you don't want it to affect. It doesn't seem to do too much to the face. A lot of times you can obviously see the dust spots around, like the hair here, over here, here. When I turn the dust spots on, they disappear. So it's done a pretty reasonable job um, of getting these dust spots to go. It's softened some areas. See on the dress down here, for example, if I turn the preview on, it's softer. So there's some areas I don't want it to work on. But let's for now say, okay, I'm going to use that setting. And the good thing with having this as a smart filter is the dust removal uh, comes in with its own mask here. So for example, if I want to mask out, right now it's white, so it's revealing the dust removal activity. The dust removal. I can turn it on and off by clicking this eye and bring all the dust spots back in, like there, or go out. I can paint on this mask, for example. If there's areas that I'm afraid it may have softened too much, I can use my brush by hitting B or brush, okay? Using black for hide, I'll take my opacity all the way up to 100 if it wants to. Okay, 100. And there, click on the mask. Now I've got a brush that will allow me to, almost always when I use brushes, I use a very soft brush, hardness to the left, and use a soft round brush, hardness to the left. Now what I can do with this brush is just for the sake of, it doesn't seem to have done much this face, but I'm going to say I do not want, and as I do this you'll see a black mask here. I'm taking the dust removal tool off the face and off of areas of detail that I don't want it on. It seems to have done a pretty good job in this case, but if it doesn't and you for example, blurred the eyes of the subject, that sort of thing, and you want to make sure that you remove the effects of this particular filter, you can do that in here. So I think the filter's done a pretty good job. Um, I don't want to be, certain things I just don't want soft, uh, but I'm pretty happy with the way the filters worked overall. Um, Let me just look at, see if there's anything obvious. No, I think it has made things all slightly softer. If you look at the paint chips and stuff along the front of the boat, and I turn the filter off, a little sharper, a little less sharp, but I think that's not going to worry too much about that right now. I could be finicky and mask out some other areas looking, but I'll say that's okay. And so we've got the dust and speck remover filter done, and that's how this thing works.